go from there.
Hedda?
Absolutely. I am Heta Animpara. I'm part of the procurement and vendor management team here at ICW Group. And I'm, helping with, of course, the sourcing efforts. And of course, I heard, Aaron, you mentioned, I believe Jamie on your team helps out, with the RFI, RFP piece. I will be the one executing it on our side. So yeah,
Perfect.
nice to meet you guys.
Great.
And my name is David Nichols. I am representing the, I guess, the business, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah.
My background is contact center operations and CCaaS and UCaaS technology. My role here is to help us ferret through the process and get the right kind of technology in place so that we can, build and refine our approach to customer service.
Perfect. Great. See if we have anybody else. Let's see here.
Well, we got Stanton, I think, on the call from.
Yeah, so from the inflow side, Stanton Smith, I help lead up our consulting group. A lot of engagements such as this, making sure that we fully and accurately captured requirements, set up demos, get feedback, do scorecarding, help out with financial analysis where needed. With me, we've got Heidi, who helps coordinate all of our meetings, make sure everybody is staying on top of things. And then joining us later on in the call will be Jenna, who is the account executive.
Yep. Perfect. Oh, that's great. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for giving me some information, some backgrounds with you guys. I always like to kind of start off with obviously you guys sent out the RFI, the request for information. I always like to kind of see if there's anything's changed since you guys have sent that out. To kind of start with that, see if it's all pretty much still current, or if there's stuff that you want to kind of address first. So.
Not to my knowledge.
Cool. I do want to start with also, I did not see a date that what the RFI was needed to be turned in or given back. So I guess I didn't know if somebody had that information for me.
Yeah, and Aaron, right after this call, we can drop the the timeline and have it sent out to you so that you have a you have a clear idea in terms of what we're trying to accomplish here on our side. I believe we have our pre-demo call as well scheduled for our demo call scheduled for next week.
Yep.
And I believe and we're I've invited a few other stakeholders from our side as well, from the ICW side, to ensure
Perfect.
that we do have a good quorum on us, from our end. Another piece that I wanted to kind of request is, just some sort of like a workflow or like a agenda to the, to the demo, so that, we can kind of understand, what pieces are being covered, because I doubt everybody's going to be able to sit in for all the, for all that time frame. So definitely,
Understood.
Would want like, some sort of, if we can kind of just, have a high level in terms of what we're covering and, in what time frame, that would be helpful. For sure.
100%. Yep, definitely. And that's what I hope to accomplish out of today's call, is kind of see really what are the key initiatives. Obviously, I looked through the RFI. We kind of studied everything and kind of see what we do. We provide everything that we looked over, but obviously 2 hours, we want to make sure that we cover everything to your likings and what is the most important, right? Within that time, and we could spend 2 days over everything if we needed to. So, all right, well, perfect. We definitely kind of address that later on. So I like to kind of start off with, can you tell me a little? I've read obviously your guys' background on the RFI, but I definitely want to kind of hear what you guys what you guys do and how you guys do it, and kind of understand a little bit more from your words, just those specific, your day-to-day life. So.
You mean the organization, what we do,
organization,
what we do for a living?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have been here about 6 months. Well, maybe 8 months now. And so I will give it a directional try, and Hedda has more experience than I do here, so she can course correct me if I go off kilter. But essentially, I mean, we've got some other lines of business, but our core is workman's compensation. And in that, there are three distinct categories of customers, and they're very separate, and they, are treated differently, have different systems, and lots of different regulations. As you might imagine, our world is highly regulated.
Mhm.
The first group is actually the injured workers themselves, and that's where, because we sell workman's compensation insurance. So if you fall down on the job, and you get hurt, this is the insurance that covers, your injuries.
Yep.
And we've got a claims process that, team that works it. And that's probably the closest to a classic call center that we have.
Okay.
And so we've got that piece of it. But then we've also got the policyholders themselves. That's the companies that purchase the policy, and their customers obviously as well. And they have certain, different other departments take care of them and help them throughout, whatever steps in the process they've got or where they need to be. And then there's a third group, which is the independent insurance agents, because we don't sell directly to customers. We sell through brokers and independent insurance agents that go out, and they have, 3, 4, 5 different companies that they, will present workman's compensation bids to different customers.
Oh, great.
All
Okay.
right. And so because there's so much stuff that needs to be kept very separate and segregated, we've got a lot of segregated systems and data. And that's probably one of our largest challenges is the fact that we've got pockets of data. We don't have like a single data warehouse, single source of truth thing.
Yep.
We don't have that. And so that's probably one of our larger challenges, and that we don't have a single CRM that goes across everything.
Okay.
So that makes a little bit of the omni-channel thing a little challenging, because, you guys can have chatbots and email and phones, but if you don't have a place that it goes into,
Yep.
it's not an omni-channel view for the agent.
Right.
So there'll be those kind of opportunities.
So I think I'm sorry to interrupt, and I think I
Mhm.
saw something in the RFI that you guys were using Salesforce. Is that just only on a separate instance and not you said you don't have a single CRM?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or is that changing?
There's a couple of departments that use it to varying degrees, and probably I think saying we're underutilizing it is probably a fair statement.
Okay.
And there's definitely a conversation about, can it spread and support and go across other, departments and things like that. And there's an entire team that's focused on that piece of it.
Okay.
But that's going on. I don't want to say simultaneously, but it kind of is. And we're going to be coming at this from a what's the best world we can set up, given what the infrastructure we have, knowing the infrastructure we hopefully will be going to.
Right. Okay.
If I could add a quick, oh, go ahead, Hope.
I was just gonna say, I think I also saw that you have ServiceNow in there as well. Is that correct? Okay, so you're leveraging both Salesforce and ServiceNow, one for ticketing and one more as a CRM?
Yeah, but only for a certain, only for like the sales side and the what's the right word, the insurance agent side, things like that. They're using the Salesforce, but claims and accounting and premium audit, those guys, they're not using it at all.
Okay, and just to be 100% clear, you're planning on keeping both of these systems in your future state, right?
I couldn't speak to the ServiceNow what's going to happen to it. It's a distinct possibility, and I wouldn't think anything would change significantly in the near future. But that's a, sort of a bigger question that's going on the CRM side, similar to this conversation on the telecom side.
Okay.
Hedda, does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, and you're right, David. It's going to be a much bigger discussion. It's not, that's not, that's not something that we're, that's not up for discussion as of now, for sure.
Okay. Well, we integrate with both. So either way,
Mhm.
no problem. Both, either or, whatever.
Okay.
Was
Dan,
there
you had a
Yeah, I was kind of going down the path of because it sounds like David, you're saying there's a lot of systems that we're trying to pull data from and get them into one
Mhm.
suppository. That way you can have one source of truth to go to and make things a lot easier. And I can understand that that probably gets really tough when you have so many different systems, so many different, and a lot of that's just different vendors, and they all have to integrate. We all have to make these bridge points, so you guys can see all that. And when I look at the RFI, it sounds like we're even going to make that more complicated now because now we're going to be wanting the workforce management tools, these quality management tools. We're going to be wanting all this extra routing, and we're going to need to report on all of that, which is more bridging of all these different pieces, which I'm imagining that might be a concern for you guys, having more of like a Frankenstein built on top of each other to make it easier. Most of this stuff, nice. We'll be able to show you this in the demo. We can handle, and I want that to really ring out there, and maybe things for you guys to really look at as you're going through this evaluation, because the more connectors, right, the more times I have to integrate this to that. That's a failure. That's just potentially going to happen. So when we're looking at this product suite, that's pretty darn complex. When I'm looking at it, everything from surveys, workforce management, quality management with analytics, automatic dialers, you could find yourself with 4 different vendors just getting all of that stuff. And that's one area where NICE is going to be able to do it all in one. That's the area. That's what we're all about, is a few failure points, having all the tools under one umbrella that's natively built on the platform, not integrated with, natively built. That way it works and you can come for one. That way when we're looking at your guys' business, we're like, okay, what information do we need from them? Really all we need is your database information, right? Whether it's ServiceNow, Salesforce, whatever we're going to check against to do a screen pop or to do a bill pay or something of that nature, or for the dialer to dial out. So those will be the only 2 areas. We can consolidate a lot of this, is what I'm trying to say in a lot of words. And to all we really need to integrate with is those databases, because the rest of it, you will have all in one with no integrations and all seamless. And we'll show that well in the demo. Is that about right, though? Is that what you guys are trying to do, is consolidate a lot of the mess and make it simple, or am I going in the wrong way?
You're not wrong, but I would round that out some.
Okay.
Because there's some significant efforts underway on the data side, on the back end side, to look at how we bring those things together. And there's not, when we need a CRM across, Salesforce is not intended, at least to my knowledge, to replace a lot of those systems. It's more to, can it be the umbrella to bring some of them and bridge them together. Right now, this for the most part, this is not a rip and replace project. There's not a quality assurance monitoring program that you're supplanting. There's not a in-depth contact routing. There's not knowledge management. There's no WFM. This is all native ground. And so I'm pretty confident that we should be able to, bring the telecom activity and the contact center stuff in, and we're going to get benefits out of it just by having it. Because we're running our emails through Outlook, and I don't even know how many emails we do.
You need the visibility. You need the reporting.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that doesn't take heavy integration with the existing 13 different systems. I'm going to get 70% of what I need to see what the heck's going on just by putting these things in and having it talk to itself. And then there's going to be opportunities to begin to venture into the self-help, to be able to venture into a couple of different things tied to this system, and, do a data dip. Can I get a screen pop over here? Those kinds of things. Can I, how simple is it to API into this one and just go get that data and do these simple things?
We're on the total same page.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I want to get in this, just discovery. That's those are key areas. Once we start really vetting this out, if we can pull back the hood, that's where NICE does very, very well. It's those areas, because we're not dealing with tons of partners in our tooling. It's all one. You can pull these reports, these APIs. It's all intermingling, and we'll show you that. But anyways, I don't want to hijack the whole conversation. I was just wondering how important that was.
Yeah, we find a lot of times have the unified platform where it's nice for us a lot of times, because if you have multiple different disparate systems, you go and upgrade one, or they upgrade one, and then all of a sudden everything else breaks because they're all tied together. So we want to make sure that obviously that's the core need, and everything you guys are looking to do is to kind of get some value out of it. So thank you, Dan, for addressing that. That's great. So I noticed that one thing you guys said is that you guys really aren't using a workforce management today, or a solution, right?
Nope.
What are you doing today? Like, what is it? How does that look? How's forecasting look? How's
well,
what does that look like?
We've only really got one department that is really even call center-esque. And it's 50-ish people, something like that. Hedda, is that about right? Am I ballparking that right?
Yeah,
claims.
roundabout.
Yeah. All right. So it's not hugely complicated. It's a single queue, and it's and since we don't have email volumes, I'm not doing multi-skilled scenarios. It's it's very basic stuff, and I mean, Mike, you're just doing some Excel stuff. That's it.
Okay.
It's just very straightforward. And a lot of the departments that are going to get benefit from this platform, are not really call center. There are 8 or 9 people doing the job, and oh, by the way, they log into the phone.
Okay.
When because they get, but there there's not a front end customer service in front of a lot of these different departments.
Okay.
And they're very segmented, and it's one of our challenges is our IVRs. So we've gotten very segmented and very specialized over the years to get really, really good at these different pieces. But again, when I talked about earlier, the customer's experience, they can't figure out where to go. They don't know where in the process they are. Is it customer accounting, or customer audit, or customer audit review? Where am I in that process? And our IVR is a monstrously complex thing, because we've tried to get the IVR to help the customer find the right place, and it's both of them have gotten more complicated than is reasonable. So we got a lot of transfers and back and forth because people are trying to find the right spot.
And how much visibility do you have on that IVR, and like why people are transferring or hanging up or doing anything? Do you have any visibility into that?
Very little, very little. I can get some of it basically by, pulling raw data out of Cisco and dropping it into Excel and doing, comma delineated this, that, and the other thing, and and search, those kind of things, but not very easily. And that's like one of the things I want, like in the IVR, I want tags throughout the whole thing so I can see where people are dropping off. See, if we start to become, if we can do some self-service in the IVR, how successful is it? Those kinds of things. Because right now I can't track transfers. I can't track multi-transfers. Now that could be more of a UCAS thing than a CCAS thing, depending on what we're talking about. But still, that's the idea. But it's CCAS once it gets up into the queues and where we're transferring them. So being able to follow that and track that and figure out what's going on.
Completely seeing your customer journey is a CCAS thing. Definitely agree.
Hey, Aaron, sorry, really quickly. So are you guys attempting to do any type of self-service today, or nothing at all yet?
Very little.
Okay. Could you give me an example of what you're doing?
I'm not even sure I can think of one.
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
There's some web forms online. I don't. Now this is my ignorance. We could very well be doing some self-service someplace that I'm just not aware of.
Mhm.
But whatever we're doing, it's minimal.
Okay, gotcha. Do you guys have plans and some use cases that you're looking to implement, or you're not really there yet?
No, we would like to be able to do it. I would like to be able to do it through the IVR. There's, I like to automate, payment capabilities. That's some of the stuff listed in the requirements document. Like to automate, a company could look up and just find out who their salesperson is. Right now, they've got to call up, they don't even remember who their broker is, and I can't figure that out. That kind of thing. So there's definitely going to be some opportunity for it. Not a ton, because of the breakdown of the different department, the different customer bases, and how important it is to get it exactly right and how regulated things are. I think self-help has some limitations compared to, like a retail self-help, but there's still definitely opportunities.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Mhm.
Along with that, I mean, that there's, you said that something that, like knowledge management, chatbots, is there the agents that are actually on the phone that are taking those calls? I think I would assume something as important is to integrate the chat with the people that are answering the phone. Is that a good assumption of what you guys are
Well,
looking for as a unified solution?
well, I would say that the same department would have access to the different channels.
Yeah.
Now, from a staffing perspective, personally, you rarely put phones and chats with the same person, because those are essentially the same thing, where they're immediate answer and you have to be focused on those things. Usually you can do phones and emails, or emails and chats. The email is the one that usually you can bridge, because you can pause an email, answer the
Sure.
chats, and go back to it. Same thing with phones. But yeah, I definitely see the possibility of, operations will have to decide how they like to do it. We know whether they like to get some special, some people that are just really good at chat, and have
Yeah.
them be the primary chat folks, and they take the phone secondary or something as backups. They'll have to kind of work their way through that.
Okay. And there's a total of 300 total agents, but 50 that are more front office. Is that?
Yeah, 50 to 60 that are more front office, and then the other people are parts of different departments that do take customer phone calls.
Yeah.
So they're still customer facing. They're just not customer facing in a classic contact center environment.
So we would consider that like we call it like a skill, so you choose, each
Yes.
person has their own skill level type of thing. Would
Mhm.
you say that any of those, so you have those 50, then take all the other ones, do any of them overlap with that skill? Like, so can if the 50 is being overloaded, or,
Not much.
would that ever roll over? No. Okay.
No, not really. Now there's a couple of departments, like within claims, the big one, they have some subdivides, and so there may be some opportunity for them to help each other out a little bit here and there. But primarily, all these other areas are very siloed from a task perspective.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about, I guess, the outbound call? I saw that on there. I saw there seemed to be a pretty important need for it, I guess, or maybe different types of analytics for it, I guess I should say. So I guess, can you explain to me a little more details on that, if there is anything?
Honestly, the outbound is not a dramatic part of what we do.
Okay.
It might be something that other teams might want to use at some point in time,
Okay.
to do an outbound campaign to customers who didn't renew or something like that. And there's some departments that do use outbound, but it's not a major piece of
Okay.
our world at this point in time.
Okay. That's what I was wondering. I didn't know if there was like certain things that you needed, specific things that people need.
No, I mean, no, not really.
Is it there? There'd be
Outside of the classic,
call management.
capability of call
Yeah.
management and you know, load the lists and all the kind of normal stuff.
Right. Would outbound SMS messaging, is that important in that aspect on the
Yes.
digital?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Because there's an opportunity to do things like letting people know that their check has gone out.
Yeah.
There's things like that we could really leverage something like that to head off questions. So yeah, I think an outbound SMS and outbound email campaigns would be something that we would be definitely looking at.
Do you guys have like an app or anything like that you guys use that people log in and ask questions, send emails out, or
ish, sort of, kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of launching an agent portal
Okay.
for that can have web forms, and then people can ask some questions, and you can go to our website and ask us and contact us, and you can drop down and fill out a form or two, but that just basically turns into an email and drops into an Outlook bucket. There's lots of information
Mhm.
you can get to, a lot of videos, a lot of information on security and how to make your work environment safe. There's a lot of really good information, but it's information. It's not interactive service activity stuff.
So, all right. So I'm kind of staying on the digital side here. Tell me about all right, we'll take away the application, but the website, and you said you really don't deal with end-to-end users. It's more the agents in a sense, right? Or is there a group that you do deal with end-to-end users like customers like myself?
Um, there's
You
not
good.
there's not there's on the I mean, of the three groupings of folks,
Uh-huh.
agents, we're having a web portal for them, and then some web capabilities for the customers. There's
Yep.
not too much for the injured workers, because they're mostly just going through the health process. There's information for them,
Yep.
but it's not hugely interactive across the board, any of those things.
Okay. When are you guys looking? I know I just asked earlier about
Mhm.
when you guys are going to be looking to get the RFI return, but when are you guys looking to, if you make a change? I assume you are going to make a change at some point to kind of make a change and or need things up and running. I ask that just because you need to make sure that obviously things that we're presenting to you, giving you information that we're able to provide.
All right. Oh. I'd probably hem and haw on that a little bit. What I'll say is that our intent is to be done with the RFI and the RFP process sometime in September-ish,
Yep.
October-ish, timeframes, and then that will then turn into our internal process of going in and once we know what we want and how much it's going to cost, then we got to go and justify the spend and all that kind of good stuff. We've got the okay to go look,
Yep.
and come up with something, but until we have hard numbers and proposed impacts, then we get in with Hedda and her team and start looking at the approval process, and I wouldn't even venture to say what that would be. Hedda, you want to take take over?
I was just gonna kind of just chime in out there. So Aaron, I'm just trying to understand from your perspective, if we do, if provided we get done with the RFI RFP piece, what does deployment look like on your side? What does just as you can probably gauge from from the scope that we're looking at, what does that time frame usually look like on your side?
Well, I usually kind of backtrack and kind of give you like the process, like what that looks like. So we'll just start from like implementation, right? So implementation, if you back up, that usually could take anywhere from anywhere from 3 months to 6 months, usually, give or take, type of time frame, right? So back up from there, a lot of times you're going into contracting purposes, right? So it usually takes about a month or two for negotiations for a lot of, depending on the companies and what you go with. Back up from there, usually doing demos. So demos are going to be usually about a month or two worth of demos. When you get into the deeper dive demos, right?
Do you mean a proof of concept, Aaron? Like, something like, like a trial sort of a thing, or is that just like, where we're kind of getting into the weeds with
yeah, I think a lot of times it depends on the situation, the solutions that you're looking at. We have all sorts of things that we do proof of concepts for, but a lot of times it's more the, hey, let's get, like you look at your RFI, you talk about like workforce management, quality. You talk about just the CCAS solution as a whole. You talk about digital solutions. Each one of those, you really could go into, like I said at the beginning, a 2-hour demo for each single one of those, if not longer, and talk about the deep dives of it. So a lot of times what customers will do is they will bring on their coaching quality people, and then we'll do a demo for them for 2 hours, whatever, to kind of go into the deeper dives. Workforce management, same thing. All these different things. So you kind of, that, to get all those people together, at least a lot of times on your sides, that's where usually it'll take about a month or two to kind of go through that whole process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and Aaron, that's kind of in almost in line with the kind of like the usual time frame that we do have, when we're executing on our end as well, when it comes to projects and
Yep.
just seeing an end to end. So yeah, I would say it's within the ballpark. Of course, we'll kind of be able to dial in a little more on on specific, very specific timelines, once we're a little bit into it, and of course,
Right. Yeah.
like David had mentioned, we do have an internal processes where we go through approvals. Obviously, this project is at a point where we're ready to execute, and definitely has our leadership's approval to
Stamp of
be able.
approval.
Yes, absolutely, stamp
Yeah.
of approval. So
Yeah.
we're there in terms of like I said, is to be able to execute and pursue sourcing efforts.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, it depends a lot of times on the accounts. I've seen accounts where you guys are ready, the customers are ready, and they're like, all right, we have budget, we have the key players in place, we have we have a date that we want to get everything initiated and up and running, and we have like meetings like on a weekly basis, to kind of keep things up and running and updated, and those tend to be the ones who work the best when we do have those weekly meetings, and sometimes those meetings could just be, hey, this is where the update is and this is what we're doing, but obviously you got to get to that point, so we're here to work any way you want to. So.
Absolutely, and I agree with you, Aaron. It's definitely, it's a process, as you clearly know, and obviously it's kind of almost can get intensive, with of
Yes.
course coordinating with multiple teams on your side and our end as well. Definitely, we want to be at a point where, of course, I think next week's demos will kind of help, kind of help us, help our stakeholders to understand, where we stand with things. And of course, we want to kind of group together again internally to make sure that, we're all aligned here in terms of, who, how we want to be able to proceed as a team as well. So, yeah, quite a few, like I said, it's quite a few moving parts here. But I
Right.
think, we will, like I said, we'll be able to power through it. I don't think it should be, it should,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'm sure even on your end, you'll have done, multiple,
Oh yeah.
like I said, multiple efforts, which are,
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
especially with comprehensive like this. Yeah.
Yeah, we're here for every step of the phase. It sounds like you guys are looking to try to get something done by the end of the year. I could be wrong, but that's what it sounds like based off of what things you guys are saying.
Yeah, and Aaron, I mean, it depends on a couple. Like I said, is that even internally, of course, when we get into implementation and right into the weeds, we we want to make sure that, of course, our, we have our IT teams on standby, and, architecture, a bunch of other, like I said, stakeholders and, teams that are required to help with, with deployment. So closer to that, I think, we'll be in a good position to be able to, and of course, even the project management team on your side has to be available to, to make sure that, we can keep, things moving post kickoff, and, we're not stagnating in any way,
Right.
shape or form.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Definitely.
So,
Okay. Perfect. What truly is a decision maker, I guess, as you guys are going through this process? I'm sure that's a loaded question, and I'm sure everybody asks that, but sometimes people say, well, really, I mean, we're looking for truly the people that can provide the most unified solution that's going to give us, the ROI and be most efficient. Sometimes people say, honestly, price is very high up there. We always like to kind of know, what drives, you guys, and what's really that important, what's important for you.
absolutely. And, Aaron, with, in terms of what's the driver, definitely, obviously we want to make sure that, this honestly, I know we hadn't had the chance to interact, before this. I know y'all were on the pre-screen call as well, which I unfortunately had to miss, but this solution was required yesterday.
Oh,
So we're
wow.
at this
Okay.
point in time. Yeah. So definitely, besides the fact that time is, a driver. So of course, we want to have, the right product, of course, at the right price
Yeah.
point. And, and obviously we would want for that to be, we want for that to be up and running, as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So there are multiple things here in terms of, what would kind of drive, our decision. And like I said, is there are multiple stakeholders too. So, kind of getting everybody's green light and buy-ins, in terms of, which solution would be the most optimum and the most efficient and suit our needs the best would, that would be another, that would be another factor as well in our decision-making process.
What's that look like? I'm sorry to kind of drill questions. I know we have about 15 minutes left. So what does that look like for the buying process? What it has to be, who's involved, and who other people that are not on this call that we would be going through as we get, if we get shortlisted and kind of start talking through this process with you.
We do have an executive team, of course, like, David, pretty much like you mentioned, he's like the business, from a business standpoint, he's he's driving this project to kind of help us, see it come to fruition. Me from the procurement side to make sure that, of course, we can execute and get this, and get this in place. You will be interacting with an ICW, project manager as well. There would be, like I said, is that of course, there's our executive sponsors, our, mostly our leadership team. So, like I said, is that again, quite a few people, including, folks from our IT. And I think y'all will be, hopefully, y'all will be able to, catch up with them on the demo call next week, so that y'all, just like an initial discussion, so that they can sit in and just understand, what the impact is, and kind of see, what the solution looks like. So, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. This is a question, I guess, more for the ICW team, or I'm sorry, the Inflow team as well. Are we working with you guys, or am I working straight with ICW on like ROI business cases? We usually to help out with like the executive readouts, which stuff that you guys do as well, but we work usually hand in hand with you on those solutions. A lot of our customers tend to like the executive readout. Like, we'd meet with you guys, spend an hour having those, your day-to-day, what is your average handle time, what are those numbers look like, and we pull that information and we put it into almost a readout that you can then take out. I kind of say wrap it into a pretty bow, and be able to hand it out to executives, and be able to kind of say, what is this business case, what is the ROI, what is the next steps, future proofing, the solutions that you choose are. Would I be working with you guys on that, or is that something that ICW I'd be working directly on?
Stanton, do you want to chime in on that? If you're there. Maybe he's not.
I know it's always really important. People love it because, to be able to see, oh, wow, if I went with this solution, this is where our ROI, this is where our customer experience would be. This is everything goes.
Yeah. So part of what Inflow CX does is ROI financial modeling. Now it's not
Yep.
going to be necessarily specific to a platform. So I would
Yep.
say we can work together with you, Aaron, to put that together for the nice
Perfect.
CX One solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know I've worked with you guys before in the past, so I just want to make sure that those are
Cool.
things.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
perfect. Awesome.
One thing,
Okay.
yeah, one thing I would say too is that as we get closer through RFI into the RFP,
Yep.
one of the things, and I'm kind of new here, so I'm just expressing it, but our purchasing team has a fairly well developed process and some
Okay.
very good models, and I think that they would probably be equally, might be a three-way process where
Yeah.
the individual vendors and since there's five or six or seven folks where that we're talking to, can be the Inflow folks can help help with that. But I definitely think, and Hedda, you can chime in here, but I think that the ROI process will be a combination of Inflow's processes and then their information, how they assess things, and then also probably a cross leverage of how we've done things historically.
Yeah, and that's accurate, David. Absolutely. I mean, we do, business value evaluations is something that we do definitely, work on our side as well. And I know Jenna's been, has been instrumental in kind of helping out as well from, from Inflow side, even Heidi and for that matter. So, we kind of, I think we'd kind of more like use their expertise as well on this piece, but that's something that we usually have always handled in-house. But not that being said, though, I think this can be done in conjunction with with the Inflow team.
Yeah, that'd be great. Hedda, you mentioned earlier that you wanted me to provide, which we always do, an agenda for when we do the demos. I always like, there's when I look at your guys' RFI, that like you guys said, you could tell you guys have gone through this process because there is a lot of good information on the RFI, which I love. I mean, I wish every customer would send me that much detail. So I'm not sure if that was done by Inflow or if that was done by ICW or a group or whatever, but it's very good information. But I always like to make sure that I know what are your key focuses when you look at those different things. Because I want to make sure that agenda is geared around what are your needs.
What I'll tell you is that we need, and this kind of goes back to your question earlier about decision making and those sort of things. It's really about who can do fundamentals really well and smoothly and ease of use and ability to to integrate and to bring kind of bring the thing together a little bit like Dan was talking about, I believe earlier. And there's probably two or three, and I'll send after this meeting. We'll get together and send you some specific examples of a few things to do. Like, for example, you can tell us about surveys, but one of the issues we've got now is the only way to get a customer to a survey is the rep has to transfer them.
I heard.
Which,
yeah, I saw that.
That's that defeats the purpose. Yeah, you're
Right.
pissed at me. Gee, bye. That kind of thing. So there's a few of those that that will want to say yes, you can do this. Yes, you can pause. You have the ability to pause recordings. The agent. Those kind of things. There's a few of those, but not too many. Because we don't have a platform that you're replacing. So we don't have a bunch of stuff that, we need it to act like our old system.
Yeah. Yep.
So really one of the things that is good about this opportunity is that there may not be the need for tons of that, change management customization crap so that it all looks like their old system. Because customers don't like change.
Yep.
But we don't have really knowledge management. We don't have quality monitoring. We don't have chat. So So there's really an opportunity for someone who's got rock solid across the board performance.
Yep.
With a handful of, one-offs, just whatever it is, just make sure we don't have this problem again.
Understood. With that said, are you looking, so, obviously, like I said, there's a lot of stuff on the RFI. Are you looking to implement everything all at once, or are you looking to do things in baby steps, type of a solution? What's that?
Phases, right? That's what you meant.
Phases?
Phases,
Yeah,
yes.
Phases, sorry.
Yes. I would say yes, and it's one of the things that that a combination of Inflow and our IT team would work together on, and that we haven't gotten to that point of saying, what pieces come first, but it is definitely something that while we may be interested in the entire platform and the entire suite of stuff, I'm going to make it up. We may not get to the AI stuff for a year, or I'm making that up completely,
Sure,
because we got to get the 101 stuff up and running first, but we're still interested in the AI stuff. So there's going to be an opportunity to bring a few things up, like, we can bring up and create, now I'm going to make this up, quality assurance without a bunch of other stuff, right? Can you just get the quality monitoring and forms and scoring and that kind of information, or, email management,
Yep.
So it's going to be a guidance from Inflow and our IT team, and then obviously the vendor of choice, to help us ferret through what the best phased approach would be. But I do not foresee this being a big bang.
Okay. Looks like we have about 5 minutes left. Does anyone on my team have other questions? I want to make sure didn't give you any time to talk, so I apologize.
I think we had a lot of good conversation here. I did want to just speak to your point about the phased approach. That's one thing that I'm surprised nobody's mentioned already, is that we always say that our platform is all in one, but not all at once. So we can just flip on different elements. Yeah, see, Aaron's laughing because we say it all the time. You can just flip on different elements as you're ready for it, and it's not a big effort. So we see that all the time.
Good.
Yeah. We are very big on it, because that's what we pride ourselves on, as being a unified platform. It's our platform. It's made by NICE. It's created by NICE. Whereas there are a lot of vendors out there that, I think somebody said earlier, Frankenstein, but they they'll have a lot of partners. They work well. They do a phenomenal job. But what we see sometimes with a lot of our with customers that they utilize that is they go to upgrade one piece and it breaks everything else, right? Type of thing. So we want to make sure that we are able to provide you that unified solution that we're talking about. So let's see, or what else? I guess I think that's, are there key things that maybe I didn't ask you that you want to address with me before we kind of let things up, I guess, for the day? And I just want to make sure that I, you give me any information that you think is important for me.
I think one of the things that we'll get to, and this may be more of an RFP thing than an RFI thing, but your support infrastructure. What are your service plans? How do you guys support your product? What comes along with the product? That kind of thing. Because I know our IT team is not built to just absorb this. So.
Right.
That'll be something important.
It definitely will be something that's addressed. Just to let you guys know, we have multiple different solutions or ways to do it. We have an independent group called VRS, which is part of NICE, that becomes your extension of your team, that helps out with your ROIs, your business cases, your every single day working with you guys on stuff. So that, and a lot of our customers will add that on a year, 2 years, 3 years. They'll extend it. It is a paid service, but it is part of a service that we a lot of times offer. We found out years ago, one thing that we've changed over the years is, years ago we didn't have this group, and so we would offer this. NICE has always been known as like feature rich, a lot of benefits to our software. But years ago we didn't have that, and we would offer this solution to a customer, or they would be on it, and they loved it. They would get on it, but then they really didn't know how to use it, down the road, right? So something we did is start doing is adding a team, not only the regular team, but then added our VRS team to be able to help and become an extension of your team. So
that's one of the things that's going to be really key for us is we have historically occasionally gotten stuff and not really utilized it to its full extent. And
Yep.
and that is not going to happen on this project.
Right. It's very important. It's exactly it is. And I usually get, at some point when we go through this process, I would get our VRS team on a call with you guys, and really we would ask those questions and talk to you about those specifics, make you understand really what that team and how they help you out throughout the journey, because the journey doesn't end when you sign that contract. The journey begins, obviously, and it should go on as a partnership, between ICW and NICE moving forward 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, hopefully 15, 20 years down the road, right? So we want to make sure that we do accomplish that with you guys.
And if I could back that up a little bit, the extra support, the white glove, the help, that's what makes NICE more sticky, if you will. Once you understand how to actually use the platform, you're getting out of the platform what it was built for. It makes our retention awesome. You as a customer, it really feels like a partnership because the things are there. So we're after the same goals.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that's something that we've changed over the past 5 years or so. And like I said, it has been a change for us to make it better. So one thing also, last thing before we kind of cut things, we, financials wise, I mean, we're, 100% debt free. So, I mean, I know it's an important thing for a lot of companies out there, knowing, where is a company to be, especially during these times, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. So we pride ourselves on that. What that means to you guys is that we are always investing in our R&D. So we're always, upgrading our systems and changing different things and bringing the new technology. So versus some other vendors, a lot of times they fortunately aren't so lucky with that. So we thank you very much for the opportunity to kind of just sit here and ask some questions and talk to you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to, obviously have more conversations and, meet the rest of the team. And we're looking forward to the demo on the 30th with you guys. So.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well,
thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks,
thank
Jenna.
you guys.
Thank you.
You guys have a good day then. All right.
You too.
Yep.
Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.